ethnic heritage, 50% Africa, 50% India. India, I have done duty to holiday, emancipation and arrival day. Since Patel ransacked me that journey, 150 years gone already. Whether you're Hindu, Muslim or Christian, let's walk this land hand in hand. We could only prosper if we try. Brotherhood of the boat. Kumaye, Zindawe, Kumaye, Zindawe, Kumaye, Zindawe, Kumaye, Zindawe, Kumaye, Zindawe, Kumaye, For those who play in ignorance, talking about true African descendant, if you want to know the truth, take a trip back to your root. And somewhere on that journey, you go see a man in a dhoti, saying he prayers in front of a chandi. Chandi. Then and only then you'll understand what is a cosmopolitan nation. There's no room for prejudice at all. United we stand, divided we fall. So let us live as one under the sky. Jahaji Bhai, brotherhood of the boat. Jahaji Bhai, brotherhood of the boat. Jahaji Bhai, Kumaye, Zindawe, Kumaye, Zindawe, Kumaye, Zindawe, Kumaye, Zindawe, Kumaye, Zindawe,
Once upon a time there was a magic island full of magic people. Let me tell you a story about their pain and their glory. Bringing fair and pain, but also a brand new style. And of all these rivers that shape this land, two mighty ones moved like a scot. And today those hands across the land, man, is still landscaping. And there's no doubt we can work it out, there is no escaping. As the river sage, but every common man got to understand up and send a message. So put up your hand. how we moving, watch how we grooving, see how we float in style. One lovely nation under a groove. The Ganges don't need the Nile. Them boys with the hidden agendas and the mind benders, they will always do their due. But now that we holding hand, trotting to the promised land, them could come along too. 'Cause we moving with a power and the glory. See how we flow in style. One lovely nation heading to salvation. The Ganges don't need the Nile. My, oh my people, keep your head on at all times. Understand up and be counted. Understand up and be counted. Oh, understand up and be counted. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, 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 oh. And send a message. Send a message. Yeah, 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 yeah. How? See how we moving. Watch how we grooving. See how we float and stand. One lovely nation under a groove. The Ganges has met the night. Them boy with the
But sadly, Eric William passed away. The ship hit rough water that day. Someone turned the bridge over to a captain named Chambers. Me blood crawl, things start to fall. Hold me head when I sail a fall. Captain, this ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. Oh yes, we gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship or shall we stay on it and perish slow? We don't know, we don't know. Captain, you tell me what to do. Whoa, whoa.
Yes, indeed, of course, plus a good night to all and sundry. This is, yes, your Tuesday edition of the Corridor Transformation. We have a wonderful program for you tonight. In addition, of course, to completing what we started last night, or at least mentioned last night. What we mentioned last night was that, of course, we would talk about crime and criminality, and, of course, the call by the Prime Minister on individual. Not only have they lost their way, but any port for a storm of incompetence, impotence, and the pretense that they are doing something, and in the process as well, unfortunately, they have engaged in profligacy, waste, and the total and absolute destruction, not only of our economy, not only of the quality of life and the way of life, not only that of our democracy, not only, of course, the breach of the rule of law, not only the concept and the practicalization of the separation of powers, and not only, of course, the infiltration and the subversion of independent institutions in this country. And we only have to reference, of course, to the most critical in the next coming months. And that is, of course, the EBC. Yes, the Elections and Boundaries Commission. They would have been, from time immemorial or from inception, to, of course, give the PNM an unfair advantage in circumstances where there is an imperative, there is a need, there is a unmitigated obligation by the EBC to be not only neutral, not only objective, but to ensure that the electoral playing field is as equal as possible. Tell me, I can tell you I have my own political party. Yes, I have my own political party. I had it initially planned to have 3 candidates, but withdrew them because of the relationship that NJAC had at the time with the UNC. We will explore all of this so as to give validity and to give credence and to say to you that it is not by accident we are talking as how we are talking here under the corridor transformation of state is sinking, and we have a duty to rescue, to salvage, and to bring it back on even keel.
Someone turn the bridge over to a captain bus. Me blood crawl, things start to fall. Hold me head when I sail a fall. Captain, this ship is wrong. Oh yes, we gas tank almost empty, no electricity. We oil pressure reading low. Shall we abandon ship or shall we stay on it and perish slow? We don't know. No, Captain, you tell me what to do. Whoa, whoa.
Yes, indeed, people, the Trinidad, she was. At the time, while of course that would have been the refrain in 1986, several decades later, it is now equally appropriate in the context of the politics and the governance of Trinidad and Tobago and all of the other factors that would be derived as a consequence of maladministration, incompetence, impotence, chronic criminal behavior in high office. And as we move closer and closer to Shouter Baptist Liberation Day, and while of course to the Christian community in general, Easter is an important component in their annual calendar of events for the spiritual Shouter Baptists. The Shouter Baptists, it gives greater credence, as of course both seem to have clashed in this holy and sacred period, inclusive, of course, of Ramadan, as it is to the Muslims, a very sacred period as well, all clashing together. But for us practicing Shouter Baptists, we make no qualms. We have no apology to give anyone of our disapproval of the blatant biases and the blatant discrimination by the Rowley administration in particular, because under Manning there was some kind of equality, some kind of rational and appropriate equity as far as state support financially to the celebrations within the Baptist community. I make a distinction, as you would see, and Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke, the head council of elders, spiritual Shouter Baptist of Trinidad and Tobago, will also ratify. There is a distinction per se, and the spiritual Shouter Baptists, because the shouters not the spiritual ones, not those from other umbrella entities, whether you call them dioceses or otherwise, but because they would acquire, address, attract the attention of the PNM. They have been, of course, associated with a preference that, in my personal view, is unmerited. They did not suffer the humiliation, the deprivation, and the total and absolute emasculation as far as the practicing of the religion that we in the Shouter Baptist community revere, adhere to, and is maybe a melting pot. And the different heritage that has emerged and cultures that has emerged as a consequence of the circumstance that have brought all of us in Trinidad and Tobago, this melting pot, into existence and realization. Let us not waste time. And as I said last night, and I will reiterate it tonight, because there are those who have the perception on two fronts, and let me, of course, dispel both with immediacy, that the spiritual Baptists seem to be in the pockets or associated with the PNM. Those are the ones you will find by and large at the functions hosted by the PNM on an annual basis. Those are the ones who, of course, will receive the so-called million for the establishment of a cathedral and other, ostensibly for spiritual purposes, other amenities. And there is, of course, the perception that Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke seemed to be in the bosom, seemed to be in the corner of the UNC, United National Congress. I want to tell you, because I am the protocol officer for the Council of Elders Spiritual Shouter Baptist of Trinidad, the leadership of Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke, and I'm talking here with authority, even though I have the added responsibility of being the host of the Council of Elders in particular. Do not see ourselves in any corner. As I said last night, we see it as an exercise in righteousness and, of course, in deservedness, in expressing gratitude for over its many leaders of the past, our pioneers, and it was not granted. I'm talking about a holiday, I'm talking about, of course, an appropriate recognition that the fact that only that religion was banned, and I'm talking here about the Shouter Baptists here. There are those who are of the European or Eurocentric celebratory doctrine and dogma type, held the dichotomy, and it is not in their interests because they have the suffix called Baptist, and they continue, of course, to promote a concept, an idea among the national regional and, of course, hemispheric and international community that the Shouter Baptists and the Christian or spiritual Baptists are one and the same. I say to you, no. You see, we celebrate differently in terms of our rituals. Size of that dichotomy, of that difference, you need to get to the National Library. You need to get, of course, to the University of the West Indies. You need to get to other major places where records of issues like these or like this are placed, including, of course, the National Archives. You see, we were very particular when we met the minister, and he was of the notion, and I have no doubt in my mind that Rowley and they are abreast of that fact, but continue to impose, intrude the notion that the spiritual and Shouter Baptists are. The Orisha celebrates differently to that of the Shouter Baptist, spiritual Baptists. I am of the view that the leadership of the spiritual Baptist community, I am going to of the entities that are of a humbler nature, so you will have an appreciation, because the truth must prevail. Not the PNM, the truth must be. And too often we have had, of course, to regurgitate, and whether or not, having already committed to $20 million that the Shouter Baptist has no part of, the group that was banned, the group that was emasculated, the group that was told that and that the people were relegated, of course, to the third class and fourth class citizenship of the country, in that the most awful and bigotry period where intolerance of another religion and belief because of ignorance and lack of comprehension, the authorities thought it best to pass laws to ban the Shouter Baptist community. I am going to bring documented as well as video facts about these matters, because it is important. I see Rowley recently hosted, of course, a Baptist exercise in celebration of spiritual Shouter Baptist Liberation Day. And I want to tell you up front, it was not as a thing. The Shouter Baptist appealed to Eric Williams, the founding father of that party. They appealed to Patrick Manning. And at the end thing, when Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke led a delegation, including myself and deceased Bishop Randu, and we sat. And by that time, we were able, of course, to present a very voluminous document. I will show it to you as we lead up to the Shouter Baptist Liberation Day. It is important to understand what is after biography in advance, saying that from Mason Hall to Whitehall, when Whitehall was not in existence, and that has characterized, of course, his entire prime ministerial, should I say, era. His prime ministerial jaws, filled with, saturated with, pregnant with deception and consequential evil, lies, and all the other iniquities that we have seen, given credence and given relevance to the biblical story of course, spiritual wickedness in high places. He himself is a clear exemplification and manifestation of that fact. But let me get back, of course, to that very auspicious occasion when we were able, in the minds of Manning, because over to the Baptist community, and not for hell that promise could have been delivered. And Manning came and made a similar promise, and that could not have been delivered. Rowley comes to why it could not have been delivered in the past in spite of the promises. Understand that. Could not have been delivered under PNM administration. However, it was delivered under a UNC administration. And the big difference is very stood. The dichotomy, the different nuances that would prevent all persons who the appellation called Baptists, but not all Baptists are shouter Baptists, and not all Baptists are spiritual Baptists. Very important that you understand that. And so when we went to Manning and we told Manning and we presented, of course, a two-part document, one dealing with our rituals and one dealing with our dogma. For example, in this spiritual Baptist arena, women are not consecrated as bishops. In this spiritual Baptist arena, flags are not planted or raised. In the spiritual Baptist arena in general, the dumbshad practice in the shouter Baptist arena that got, of course, the authorities during colonial and post-colonial period anxious and distraught and confused with a high degree of discombobulation. Yes, they did not. And so that group of shouter Baptists was banned by law. The spiritual Baptists continued because they would have conformed to the Eurocentric way of serving their God. Understand that. It is important that we understand. It is important, of course, not because one group got the 20 million and another didn't get it. No, it's not that. It's setting the record straight, because the truth will always prevail and will set you free. And whether they were able, of course, by a pretense, whether advertently or inadvertently, and don't believe that they have a duty and responsibility to set the record straight, we must. You see, when the overture of the 20 million was made, the spiritual Baptist side, who was supposed to spearhead this initiative, wrote and came and sent their emissaries and their advocates to the Council of Elders, the Spiritual Shouter Baptists of Trinidad and Tobago, and once they would have gotten, of course, the approval of Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke, who leads the Shouter Baptist community, said, mission accomplished. But we wanted none of that, because the concept and the idea and the practicality of it is flawed. Is flawed and presents not just a division, not just a split, if you want to call it that, not just a cleavage, but a huge canyon all the way to the core of the earth. A huge canyon. Because as you would now realize that in the Christian or in the spiritual Baptist community, you would see no archbishop being a woman. Do some research on your own and you would see. So that grouping of individuals who have captured, who have invaded, and suggesting to the national community that they are the ones that exclusively represent, of course, the leadership of the Baptist community is a falsehood. As I said, whether advertently or inadvertently, they are our spiritual brothers and sisters. So I cannot, of course, account for their motives. But if it is that Rowley and they as government have not seen Archbishop Barbara Grayburg gravitate to that opportunity for $20 million, you must know that something is wrong, Rowley. You must know. And that therefore one would have expected that the appropriate investigation will take place and that you will understand, because you cannot dismiss or in any way set aside the role of Archbishop Barbara Grayburg and, of course, the acquisition of this holiday, upon which, of course, many of them capitalize, including, of course, the persons who are not of the Shouter Baptist ilk. And those who are of the Shouter Baptist ilk may, for one reason or another, have fallen out, of course, with the Council of Elders and decided, of course, to chart their own path, but bringing into the mix of the Christian-oriented and practice aspect of the Baptists, so as to generate further confusion and clearly to further legitimize the false impression that they are the leaders, the definite article, the, as opposed to being a leader, the indefinite article. Because that is what they are. They have, or one has to subscribe to them, A, and not THE, the definite article, the. No. And as I say, as government, being in charge for the time being of the national purse, and in the interest of fairness and equity, due diligence notwithstanding, they ought to have launched their own independent investigation, but instead, and I have no qualms in saying at this point, because of political expediency and because of the loudmoutedness of a group who pretended to be, of course, the leader or the leaders. And you must, of course, express your not just disapprobation, not only your disquiet, not only your keen sense of justice to apply to this situation and equity, You must ask the question, where is Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke in all of this? She is still alive and celebrating as well. And you would see us, of course, at the Empowerment Center in Maloney. You must ask that question, and whether or not the government of the day under Rowley is being equitable and fair, and whether they have done their due diligence to recognize that since there is a group that can, without a doubt, indubitably, undoubtedly consensus. That is why the school is called the St. Barbara's Shouter Baptist, Spiritual Shouter Baptist of Trinidad and Tobago Primary School. Let's go straight, of course, to your comments. Let's see if...
Okay, I'm just checking to see if they were on tonight.
Yes, I am live and direct, my friend. Okay. All right, yes. Yes, people. Yes, people. That is why it is called, and everywhere you see an insignia or you see an event hosted by the Council of Elders, you will always see Shouter Baptist as a major component to signify, to irrefutably indicate that it is the Shouter Baptist, a fraternity that we represent. That is that group that was banned, and not the Christian or the spiritual Baptists, as they would like to call themselves. Let's not waste time. And to be discriminatory in terms of not recognizing, and she is still alive, and paying homage to Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke and that struggle, and not consulting her as a government. Because you will hear a clip in a while where Rowley said that they appear to be divided. That is why they only got an upfront 10 million. And he is satisfied that, of course, they have somehow, by some enigma, by some illogical logic, came together. I don't know, but of course, Archbishop Burke is not there. He must be searching for her. He must be inquiring of her. But no, I suppose it is now silly season. And for political expediency, they will, of course, brush that, dust it under the carpet. That appointment that was recently given to an individual in the police service as Deputy Commissioner of Police, who Hines said, and I'm going to play that for you as well, not tonight, but I'm going to prove it to you, who said it doesn't matter if she has a pending court case of a criminal nature. It doesn't matter if she has questions to answer with respect, of course, to the kidnapping, according to one judge, of Brent Thomas. And they were nonchalant and they were dismissive and appointed that individual. Appointed that individual, my friend. Let me see if we could get it on the line. The line is up and working. I don't know why it's not. But let me take it from here then. Let me take it from here. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Hey, Lennox Smith, pleasant good night to you.
Pleasant good night to you. I get you on the system. Yes.
Yes, Lennox, you hear me loud and clear?
Loud and clear, and everybody else in the world.
Right, because I realize that I realize that I a slight delay in the call coming through on your system.
All right.
Well, you know, I ain't saying too long. But say something in Parliament today that he you hear me, Lennox?
Yes, loud and clear on my phone, yes. Yes.
Lennox Smith.
Yes.
Can you hear me loud and clear?
Loud and clear, loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Right. So in both say in Parliament, I don't know this today. Right. Right. So in both say in Parliament that you hear that people complaining that they ain't getting no water. And you say the reason why they ain't getting no water because they ain't paying the property tax. So when they pay the property tax now, they're going to ensure that you're able to get water in your pipes and stuff. So when you're paying that water rate for, so what is the purpose of the water rate? What was that be sending to you? What's the purpose of that? Because he's saying that when people ain't getting water in the pipe and they're complaining, that because they ain't paying property tax. But it really have a special place in hell for these fellas in and I feel when the time come the devil and go ask God for repentance to go walk up in heaven and they think I have enough room in hell for two devils, you know. Doctor listening.
Yes, indeed, my friend. And don't be perturbed with these political the carcass from the cadaver. Yes. For political aggrandizement, because it's the same arsoness he spoke when he said that he got an assessment which he believes is 50% too high, but he's going and pay it. As if he believes that making that statement suggests that he's a patriot and will give to the government money that they don't deserve from a private person. The only reason why he said, however, that he's prepared to pay is because he is piloting that particular initiative, that particular bill, and therefore he has a duty at all costs. In other words, you can't play mass and trade powder. So since, of course, he got a bill that he disagrees with of over 50%, he going on paid still. That ass, that dunderhead. In other words then, is he saying that if he wasn't the minister, he would of course objected to that perceived additional 50%? And would he have, as an ordinary citizen, allow 50% more than it? That's what he is saying. Look, Imbert, get the hell out of our faces. So I am not surprised with that caller's position on Imbert and the nonsense. You see, who the gods wish to destroy, they first send them mad. Let's go to the lines. Pleasant good night, welcome. Pleasant good night, welcome. Pleasant good night, welcome. He got a bill that he disagrees with. That's a good night,
Lennox.
Yes, good night, Lennox. Yes, good night to you.
Where are you going, boy?
Well, of course, doing my duty.
Yes, I hear you, Lennox. Hello. Where are you going?
Doing my duty of necessity, doing my duty. All right. Make your contribution.
Right. Like a caller say, I got to talk, right? Because you can't hear me on a delay, right?
Yes.
Then I say, you don't join an assessment about this inward saying about property tax. But he can pay 10 times the amount, or 100 times the amount. Now, $900 a month is not, or whatever it is he got to pay. There's no kind of money for he. Are you going to go and query it? What are these small man in the street? When they want to query it, they have a tribunal set up. Plus, they're doing the wrong side. They have no tribunal set up to take anybody complaint. So they're telling you, go and pay the property tax. And then after, when they see it paid next year, they go rebate here. And that will go towards your next property tax bill. You ever hear something stupid like that? If you're in government for 9 years, right?
Yes.
And you ain't set up that framework in order for the people to go through the transition and paying the property tax fully. And you want to go and do conditions like that and tell the people they have to wait, and then next year they will get them a rebate. That is foolishness to the max. Total foolishness to the max, brother. In better than that, property tax bill could go to really monkey pulling nuts, you understand? Because
Yes.
it's an immoral tax. Immoral. Have a good day, Lennox.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, of course, for that contribution. Yeah, I mean, who the gods wish to destroy the first of them mad, and these fellas have gone stark mad. I mean, they are in cognitive and intellectual decline. President, good night. Thank you for holding on, caller. Make your contribution.
To the callers, to the listeners,
Yes.
the people who want a better country. I want to throw back the mind a little bit. I don't want them to forget, because Trinidadians have a way to forget quickly.
Yes.
I want them to remember when these guys was in the parliament and told us, if you cannot afford the gas, I just ride a bike, you know. Because if you can't afford the gas, I just ride a bike still, you know, Mr. Speaker, and gather your children and tell them, let you bake no pie and thing. And when you look at what is taking place, they're really bringing the country to that if it isn't done so already.
Primitive.
One. We're going with two now. You could remember in the ending up of Dr. Rowley term, in his first term, the ending up of his first term, it had a sort of crime in Lavanti, and he tell us that Lavanti needs special treatment.
Yes.
They need special attention.
Yes.
And up to today, he say he will form a group to deal with the Lavanti problem. I'm saying this for the Lavantilians who want a better Lavanti. The group we say he would have formed up to today, we yet to see nothing, just like the 100 million in Sawa there. He tell them, and we yet to see nothing come out of it. So when they're talking, they'll be talking to the fanatics and them. And the right-thinking citizen have to understand what is going on with this man, with this administration on. I keep saying they're feeding the self, they're dealing with the self, and they're trying to organize things that they never even thought they could have done. Because they know that the time is near. Anytime they call it, we will deal with them. I plan to sleep by the polls the night before, you know, because I must be the first to vote. I'm not skylacking. And if anybody wants to skylack with the future, they could continue. Because, as you now say, they just send them mad. And the things that they're telling me, when you go and destroy somebody, you just first send them mad. They're mad. And I ended with this. It's a brotherhood of wrongdoers. And they has no conscience. You have a blessed night, Mr. Lennox.
Same to you, my friend. And as you spoke there, it reminds me of course, Judas. And this is the season for those Judases to come to the fore. I suppose it's not by accident we are experiencing that scenario at this point in time. But let us, of course, put perspective and go straight, of course, to back to basic. I think that is an appropriate calypso to, of course, round up or to give credence to the callers. Very vivid.
Merry New Year,
and appropriate.
ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is straight, die-hard, genuine, authentic.
An appropriate, of course, musical interlude for the moment.
I went to public utilities and tell them disconnect them facilities, cause me want them. I tried to contact the ombudsman, but never in office. Are going to file me an injunction on the public service. Cause every time a heavy rain fall, By me don't have no current at all. They spoil me TV, they spoil me fridge. They nearly kill me with low voltage. Now before they make me a lunatic, I'm going back to basic. I'm going and get a flambeau and lamp with wick. I'm going back to basic.
I thought I should bring in that interlude. It may be a bit hilarious, but you cannot doubt that it is appropriate. It is appropriate for